guys. Today we are going to read Hannah Hashimoto, Sixth Violin. And I chose this book because I really enjoyed the fact that we had a book about art on the same day that we did art. So I found out a book about music for our music specials today. So go ahead and relax, find a cozy spot where you can watch this video, and we'll read Hannah Hashimoto, Sixth Violin by Sherry Yugaki and Ken Lang. When Hannah Hashimoto announced that she had signed up for the talent show and she would be playing the violin, her brothers nearly fell out of a tree. That's just loopy, said Kenji. You're still a beginner. Stop kidding, said Koji. You can barely play a note. It's a talent show, Hannah. You'll be a disaster. Not very nice. Hannah squared her shoulders and took her violin and bow inside, leaving her brothers laughing like monkeys in a tree. She pulled at the strings, letting them twang. It was true that she was still a beginner. She had only been to 3 lessons. The first time Hannah had a real violin had been that summer while visiting her grandfather in Japan. Long, long ago, her grandfather had been part of a great symphony orchestra in Kyoto. Ochi- Oji-chan had been second violin and once played in front of the imperial family. Oji-chan played every morning. From his study, the clear, bright notes would drift upwards through the shoji screen doors to where Hannah slept on a sweet-smelling tatami mats and coax her awake as gently as sunshine. Even though I'm a ninja reader, I still have to sound out words, especially when they are Japanese words that I'm not used to seeing before. Oji-chan usually played classical pieces by Mozart or Mendelssohn or Bach. But in the indigo evenings, while Hannah and her brothers ate ice cream and oranges, Oji-chan would sit on the veranda and play requests. Hannah had always asked for a song about a crow cawing for her 7 chicks. Whenever Oji-chan played it, Hannah would feel a shiver of happy sadness ripple through her. I wonder if you guys have ever listened to music and felt different emotions while listening to it. Like some songs might make you happy, some songs might make you feel sad. Hannah has a song that plays sounds happy and sad. Oji-chan didn't just play songs. He could also make his violin chirp like the crickets Hannah tried to find in the tall grasses. Close your eyes and imagine what it might sound like to have crickets chirping. Chirp, chirp, chirp. He could pluck the strings to mimic the sound of raindrops on the oil paper umbrella Hannah twirled under the summer storms. And when the first fireflies emerged at twilight, Oji-chan could compose a melody that seemed to make them dance higher and glow brighter than ever before. At the end of each day, as Hannah lay with her head resting on a cool buckwheat pillow, Oji-chan would play a lullaby so soothing that sleep would fall over her like a blanket. On their last day together, Hannah told Oji-chan that she wanted to learn to play the violin. And when Hannah got home, her parents agreed that she could. Now, Hannah was practicing not just for the lessons, but for the talent show too. Hannah practiced every day, just like Oji-chan, and every day her brothers fled the house with covered ears, complaining about the horrible noise. She practiced in front of her parents, who listened with care as they washed and dried the dishes. She practiced in front of her dog, Jojo, who cocked his head and sometimes growled at the strange sounds Hannah made. And she practiced on her own in front of an old photo of Oji-chan from his symphony days. Alone, Hannah could pretend that she was performing in front of an audience so appreciative that they called for encore after encore. If you guys watched my lesson yesterday, we talked a little, or this morning, we talked a little bit about how we can use the clues in our reading to make an inference. So there's some clues here. Do you think that Hannah is a good violin player based on what you noticed from the clues in the story? Could you infer that she is playing her music really well based on what her brothers do and what the dog does? Or do you think that maybe she is not playing very well? I infer that the brothers are running away, so she must not be playing very good. The day of the talent show arrived, and the school auditorium thrummed with excitement. Backstage, Hannah waited with a walloping heart. A dozen acts, including 5 other violinists, had already gone before her. Finally, Hannah heard the master of ceremonies call her name. As Hannah walked onto the stage, her violin tucked under her arm and bow gripped her tight in her hand. An oceanic roar filled her ears. Things seemed to be moving in slow motion, and for one dizzy moment, Hannah thought, Kenji and Koji were right. This is going to be a disaster. She wished she could turn into a grain of rice and disappear into a crack between the floorboards. She could hardly see with the spotlight in her eyes. Yet, as Hannah looked out into the audience, certain faces appeared to her as if through a telescopic lens. She could see her brothers melting into their seats. She saw her best friend, Jas, giving her 2 thumbs up, and there her smiling mother and her father, camera in hand. Hannah held her breath, then ballooned her cheeks before letting it out. With a whoosh, the roaring in her ears receded. Then, as everyone seemed to disappear beyond the light shining down on her like a moonbeam, she remembered. Gambar Yuno, Hana-chan. Do your best, her grandfather had told her. Oji-chan would be cheering for her. Hannah swallowed her nerves like medicine and leaned toward the microphone. She would just do her best. This is the sound of a mother crow calling her chicks, she said. She placed her violin under her chin, held her bow in position, and played 3 raw, squawky notes. Ah, ah, ah. This is the sound of my neighbor's cat at night. She dragged her bow across the strings, and the violin yowled in loud protest. Yow! This is the sound of rain on a paper umbrella. Hannah plucked the strings for a soothing plop, plop, plop. As Hannah continued to play all the special sounds she had practiced, the air around her became alive with buzzing bees, zzz, and lowing cows, moo, and squeaking mice, squeak, 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 and croaking frogs. Ribbit. Finally, as the last sound effect trailed away, Hannah tucked her bow and violin under her arm. And that, she said to the audience, is how I play the violin. Then she took a great big bow. Later, after dinner, Kenji surprised Hannah by asking for an encore. Make that funny cow sound again, he said. Then Koji said, Make that crazy cat sound too. So Hannah did. And when her mother and father and brothers all laughed, she happily played her sounds again. Perhaps next year Hannah would be able to perform one of Oji-chan's favorite pieces. But for now, Hannah had played a little melody she had been practicing, remembered from nights lit by dancing fireflies. She imagined that the notes would drift out through the window, past the bright rabbit moon and beyond, and Oji-chan would hear them and smile. I hope that you're able to enjoy this book and music for Mr. Fraser today. I miss you guys, and I will see you tomorrow.